PGA Tour Champions Learning Center. Brought to you by Tour Edge Exotics.
Hi again, folks, and welcome to Learning Center. I'm Vince Cellini, and we hope you are well wherever you are joining us. And with me right now is a man who has authored 24 victories on PGA Tour and PGA Tour Champions. Mr. Kenny Perry is with us from his home in Franklin, Kentucky. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good, Vince. It's all good. Sandy and I are hunkered down here in Franklin, Kentucky, and we hope everybody out there is staying safe.
Well, I've asked all the guys I've talked to, what's it like for you, the pandemic, and dealing with that in Franklin, and how much has that affected you and your entire family?
Well, it was kind of scary at first because we had 3 members of our church contract the virus, and I was actually really close to one. I was about 3 feet from him. And then like the next day or two, he went into the hospital. I was talking to him at church, and that made me nervous. So I actually went home, and I just stayed home for 2 weeks, and I was fine. I didn't get sick. I didn't get a fever. I didn't get anything. So I guess I wasn't close enough to him to get it, but it made us realize it was close to home. But here in Kentucky, I think it's a state. We've got like 4 million people, and we've had 230 deaths. So it's really, they said it's less than 1% chance that you could get it if you're, in our state. So, I think it's pretty safe here in Kentucky. I mean, it's sad for those who've lost life from it. But all in all, nothing's really changed here except, this is a farming community, a farming town, and factory work. So the factories aren't open, but I guess the farmers are still farming, and cattle industry's still there. I guess they're not selling beef, though, what I've kind of seen on TV and stuff. But it's pretty quiet. It's only a town of about 10,000 people. We call it Mayberry. We got our, our courthouse and our main square you drive through with the 3 stoplights. And it's just very peaceful and quiet. You roll through town, there's really not a lot of people out and about. And we've got a few restaurants, and it's just drive-through only on the fast food chains that are here. And so I found out my wife's a really good cook. She's been holding out on. So
you have to watch that. You have to watch that because it's easy to put on the pounds, that's for sure.
Exactly. Well, I've definitely done that. Gotten fat and lazy sitting around here all the time. But we've been trying to do projects. We were doing our yard, and we've done some landscaping, and got out there. And then actually, I've been kind of down at my shop. I had a shop where I kept most of my cars, and it was built in the '86, and the back wall started collapsing, started falling in on it. I noticed, so we tore it down completely, the whole building. I had to move my cars into another building. And so now we're in the process of building my new shop back there. They've got the structure up, the floor's poured, so now they got to do the finish work. They got to put the brick up, finish up the wiring and everything inside the shop and all. And I'll be able to eventually now get all my cars back to my home here behind my house.
Very good. So you're taking advantage of some of the time, and I'm glad you're well, Kenny. I'm glad everything worked out for you with those precautions. But I do understand that golf in the Commonwealth of Kentucky was not among the closures. So I wanted to ask you about getting out and your course, Country Creek, and it's funny what that has meant to you and the community as far as working through this.
Well, I think it's meant a lot to the community. It's actually allowed the people to get out and do something. We're actually, my clubhouse has a wraparound front porch on it. And what we did, we opened up a window and people walk up to the window, buy their greens fee, get their cart key. And, we're doing 1 per cart, making sure the social distancing is going on out there. And I have 72 carts, and most days all 72 of them are out, but they're 4 going per group, as you know. So it's really not, we're about 50% down in play, but it's busy out there. People like getting out. Everybody's kind of house burnt, and they want to kind of get out and enjoy a round of golf. And our weather's just now starting to turn here in Kentucky to where it's warm enough. It's nice enough to where you can get out and enjoy a nice round of golf. And been very fortunate that the Governor Brashear didn't close our golf course. I'm a small business owner. I tell everybody the course is 25 years old this year in July, I think. And I've yet to make a paycheck off of it. So it's not been, but it's gave the community something great. It's given 8 or 10 employees that I love and care about a great job. It barely hangs on each year, and to me, if they would have closed us, it would have been devastating. And I feel for the people, the small business owners out there who are struggling, and their shops are closed, and I was lucky enough to keep business open, and my doors are still open, and people are able to enjoy the game of golf.
Well, books aside, I think you're making quite a contribution, obviously, to the community, and Country Creek has really been at the forefront of that. So congratulations on making golf a nice distraction for folks here. So let's talk about PGA Tour Champions, and this week was supposed to be the first major of the year on the tour, the region's tradition. However, that's been bumped back, Kenny, as you know. It won't be in Birmingham, Alabama this week. It's going to be September 24th, which is good because we will play it. And I wanted to get your reaction to rescheduling of that event, an event you won in 2014. And that's when you became just the second player to win in 3 consecutive starts in majors on PGA Tour Champions. So I would imagine it's a part of a very special run for you in your career on PGA Tour Champions.
Well, yeah, it really was. Back in 14, 13, I was playing really strong golf for me out on the Champions Tour. And so it means a lot to me that they didn't cancel. I mean, a lot of our tournaments and our sponsors have canceled their events due to the virus, which I totally understand. I totally get it. And for them to kind of hang in there and to reschedule an event and play back in September is pretty incredible. It's an amazing. I love going to Birmingham. I won at Shoal Creek, but we don't play at Shoal Creek anymore. But the new venue's great. I've always enjoyed playing there. The people are fantastic. And for the sponsorship to hang in there for us, it's just truly a blessing. The old guys, it impresses me for all the sponsors that we do have that hang with the old guys, that support us, and we're still able to put on a show for the people. And we all really appreciate that. For we know that, most of the focus is on the young guys, and which is where it should be. Our careers have come and gone, but we still feel like we have a lot to offer to the communities.
Oh, there's no question about that. And we will talk about the startup now of PGA Tour Champions, which will be July 31st, the Ally Challenge in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Warwick Hills, where you won twice at the old Buick Open on PGA Tour. So I'm sure you thought about this and talked to some of the other guys. What are you anticipating in your return to actually play in competition?
Well, it's all up in the air. I hope we still get to play. I mean, they've kind of said that's our start date, which is the end of July, 1st of August there at Ally. But I guess it'll be all a test run with the younger kids. When they start back at Colonial here, their first 4 events are going to be no spectators, no galleries. So that'll be interesting for them to go out there and play with not a soul on the golf course, like it's just a practice round or something. So, but we kind of follow suit with them, and Miller and Jimmy, and they all do a great job on the Champions Tour. And we'll follow suit. And for us, when we start back, and I hope we get to start back at Flint, because that's one of my favorite places to play. I love Warwick Hills. It's a tremendous golf course, and a lot of fun to play. Always had great greens. To me, I always won in places. If I won in a place, I usually won multiple times for whatever reason. I don't know. And to win 2 Flints, win there twice, I have a lot of great memories and a lot of great feelings when I show up there. So I hope we get to start back there. I hate we've lost a lot of these other tournaments, but I understand that. And I just hope we get back to some normalcy and be able to get our year started again. And I don't know about playing 10 in a row. We'll have a week off after Ally, and then I think we'll play 10 weeks in a row, which for old guys, that's not good, because we fall apart after about 2 or 3 weeks. Our bodies do, at least mine does anyway. And so that'll be interesting to see how we can all hang in there for 10 straight weeks once we get fired up and get going. So it's just exciting that we're going to get to play again if we do this year. I hope so. I mean, we're all house burnt. We're all tired of staying around. I've played the tour and the Champions Tour. I got my tour card in '86. So, and I was fortunate enough at the end of my career on the PGA Tour, I played my best golf on the PGA at age 48 and 49. And then that carried me right into the Champions Tour. I've not had any time off ever. I've played solid, 20 plus events for 35 straight years, or how many years that is. And to me, to have these 2 or 3 months that, we're all stuck and sitting inside, I'm thinking, I guess this is kind of what retirement's going to be like. I've got 8 grandkids. I've been spending a lot of time with the grandkids, and to me, that's been great. It's been very refreshing. It's kind of going to recharge my batteries a little bit to kind of see what I've been missing, in the golfing industry. And so I'm kind of looking forward to getting back and playing golf. But then I'm also looking forward to retirement and scaling back. And my 9-year-old, my grandson 9, my oldest grandson, he loves golf. So we're out there playing golf. He's grinding every day, hitting balls, and we're having a big time with that. So it's been great to kind of see that part of the life, that where my future's headed. But I'm still not quite, my competitive juices in me are still not quite done. I still kind of want to hang out there with the guys I've battled with for the past 35 years. And, they're part of my family as well. We're I always tell everybody, we're like a traveling circus. We battle and battle and battle for years and years. We know their families. We've watched their kids grow up. And then all of a sudden now you're not really in touch with them anymore. It's kind of, it's sad, really.
Well, it's interesting. You covered a lot of ground there. In particular, at this point in your career, you'll be 60 in August, but you are still a competitor as well. And plus, we have all this cluster of golf that's going to be backloaded into the schedule. So there's a lot that's going there. There seems like there's a lot of moving parts there, personally and professionally, for so many players like yourself. And I think it sounds like you're sort of sifting through what all of this means to you and your future. Yes?
Very true. Yeah, very much so. I am definitely trying to figure out, how do you, I look at Hale Irwin. I look at, he was 70-something years old. He still plays great golf. Very impressive. And Tom Watson, he's still amazing at his age, how he can play golf. I always tell people, I was going to retire at 60. So I tell everybody, and I'm going to turn 60 in August. And I still think I'm going to probably finish out this year and play next year. But after that, it's going to be kind of up in the air for me. Physically, I've had some issues. I've got that plantar fasciitis, a bone spur in my left heel, which started at Hawaii this year. And I've had it's been very hard for me to get around. I struggle to walk. Thank goodness on our tour, I was able to use golf carts in the 4 events that I was able to play in and get by. But if I was on the regular tour, I would definitely be in trouble. So, my health and my golf game, I just don't have it. I don't have the desire. I don't really want to practice anymore. And just to get out and to pound balls like I used to. I was a ball beater. I love to hit golf balls. Playing didn't really matter to me. I could get on the range all day and have fun with it. I was self-driven, self-motivated, but you're right. As the time goes by and my golf game's not as good anymore, and my competitive, and then I've got other, my family, grandkids, things I want to focus in on. My desire is kind of waning a little bit, and my body's not cooperating any. So it's easy for me to look like to step aside and to start doing other things in my life, which golf's been a 24/7 job. It's been something I've done for 35, almost 40 years nonstop. I've been going 100 miles an hour at it, and I'm actually looking forward to kind of slowing down a little bit. And this time has been really good for me to just kind of get ready and look forward to the future.
Well, we want you out there as long as possible on PGA Tour Champions, Kenny. You know that. You touched
all
on
those young
something.
guys are hard to beat now.
yeah, I know, right? You get that new influx of players. You got Ernie out there, Retief Goosen. It's not getting any easier. for you, that's for sure.
Brett Quigley looks like a kid.
Right, right. You touched on the aspect of not having fans initially at some of these PGA Tour events, and even possibly the Ryder Cup. That has to be a little strange for a player. And how important are fans in competition when you're actually in the heat of things?
Fans are very important. You thrive on their energy. It's amazing when you can feel the fans get behind you. I felt that at the Masters in 2009 when I almost won. I felt like all of the crowd was pulling for me. They may not have been, but I just felt their energy and their drive, and it motivates you. It pushes you to do things that you probably wouldn't normally do in a normal tournament. So for people to get out there, for guys to get out there in tournaments and not having fans, I just think it's going to be weird. It's just it's going to be hard to kind of get out there and get going, and it's going to be real quiet. It's going to be just like you're in a practice round, or you're playing with your buddies back home at your home course. So the fans are huge in golf. And plus, on the Champions Tour, the fans are kind of up close and personal. They're a lot closer to us on the Champions Tour than they are on the PGA Tour. They get more inside the ropes. I hope we feel like they're more at home. They're more comfortable around us. And where it's pretty strict out on the PGA Tour, you can't really get near the players unless after the round you might get an autograph or two from them. But you'll get autographs from the Champions Tour from the first hole through the 18th. I've not yet seen anybody. If a kid came up to one of us and wanted an autograph, we'd sit there and pat their head or whatever and sign their autograph right there on the spot, right in the middle of the heat of the moment in a tournament. So that's what I love about the Champions Tour. I mean, the guys are great. We're up close and personal. You can get around us. And, I mean, how many places can you go and talk to Hall of Famers? We probably got 10 or 12 out there still competing, still playing. They were at the best at our sport at one point in their career. And for anybody to just kind of walk up and say hello and actually get spoken to and get, I hope we make them feel like Arnold did. Arnold Palmer always made you feel like you were the only one at the room at the time when he was speaking to you. So I really believe our tour is a lot like that.
No, that's the unique aspect of this tour. That's for sure. I guess we're going to have a pretty cool primer for a return to televised golf, and I'd like to get your reaction to this. Golf is going to televise on May 17th a benefit for all the COVID relief. It's the TaylorMade Driving Relief, and it's going to be a skins game at Seminole Golf Club, which will have Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson taking on a couple of Oklahoma State Cowboys in Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff. And you know what? We're going to have some competition and also some charity there. So that's, your sport, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do and to get us ready for a return, don't you think?
Oh, I agree. That's exciting. To be able to, our tour, both tours give, I don't know how many millions we've given over the years.
Oh my gosh.
To charities. I remember that slogan that was going on. Did we get $1 billion? Did we reach $1 billion or something? But
Yes.
Anyway, it's pretty incredible. All the charities that we touch and affect through golf. And this is just another way for people to support COVID-19, to be able to give money to this charity and to be able to watch golf live on TV again. I know all my buddies are saying we're tired of watching old reruns of all these old tournaments. So to see something new, exciting, and to see these young kids, they're amazing. Rory, I remember Rory when he had the little afro going, and he just started playing. I played a practice round with him at TPC there in Jacksonville. It was his first year there, and he was just a kid. I mean, he was so young, it was incredible. And now he's a superstar. He's probably one of the best in the game. And then Dustin, he's our buddy. He always gives Sandy a big hug every time he sees her, and he's just a nice kid. And then you got Ricky, and I don't know Matthew Wolff, but man, he's fun to watch. I mean, I love his action. He's got an unusual golf swing. always had an unusual golf swing, so I always feel good with all those guys who got different kind of golf swings.
We say unique. Unique is it right? That's the swing.
It doesn't matter if that club's in the position 6 inches behind the ball and 6 inches past the ball, you're in good shape. But it'll be good. It's going to raise money, bring awareness, and they'll put on a good show. It'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, we all are. That's for sure. All right, let's get to our weekly segment, and that's What's Your Edge, presented by Tour Edge Exotics. And I know you've been hunkered down for a while. So what, maybe, Kenny, can you share with our viewers about trying to stay sharp, some things that you might do as far as, I don't know, certain drills or just certain aspects of your swing that you're trying to keep sharp? What can folks do at home?
Well, I mean, a great question. When a lot of people don't have their home gyms and all, but to me, as I've gotten older, flexibility is the key. It's being able to not lose the length of your backswing. And to me, that was the most important. What I work on mostly is stretching and the ability to keep my backswing long. And as soon as you start, what I look and I see amateurs as they've getting older, their backswing gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And I call them daylight swings. As soon as that club's off the ball, they're swinging back forward. And I get a kick out of a lot of the players. I play a little bit of golf over at the country club. I live on Franklin Country Club, the 15th hole. My house is just off the green. And I'll go over to the club now, and I'll play I play every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. We play with a few guys. We have a little game, and we're all 60 and plus years old, and we've had a lot of laughs, and their swings. I've watched their swings as growing up and watch them change over the years, and they've all gotten shorter and shorter and shorter. And I keep telling them, I said, you need to get some armband, a heavy golf club, something, a weighted club, something you can swing that will actually extend your rotation and your turn and get you longer on the backswing, so you'll have time. I think, to me, golf has always been about timing and rhythm, and to give yourself space to where you can have time to return that golf club back to the ball. Those seem like all those people, they get quicker and shorter as they get older, and they don't have time to square that club face up at impact. So if you could, create time and length in your backswing, it gives you the ability to return that golf club back to the ball and still have power, let gravity and momentum take over, and you're not going to get shorter and shorter and shorter as you continue to age.
Well, that's great stuff. That's really good stuff to apply. So, Kenny, I'll bet without golf, I know what you've been busy doing. And we touched on this a little bit at the top of the interview. And we're not driving golf balls. You're driving classic cars. I know that's been your passion for a long time, since you were a kid, like 9 years old, I read. So how did this all come about for you? And what does the collection mean to you personally?
Well, to me, it's when I was 9 years old in 1969, and I have 3 older sisters, and my dad brought home a 1969 Camaro, brand new. And so I'm 9 years old, and I see this car sitting in the driveway, and I'm just like totally in awe of this car. I'm like, when I get old enough, I'm having one of those cars. And so it kind of evolved from that. My dad always drove Cadillacs, and he loves speed. I mean, we'd be in these Cadillacs, and we'd be flying 100 miles an hour wherever we went. It was incredible. So my love for speed kind of came from my dad, but my love for the cars, my sister had a 69 Camaro, and my other sister had a 70 Nova. And, these are all muscle cars. So I fell in love with the muscle car era. So I have thrown in some shoe boxes. So I got a couple of 55s and a couple of 57 Chevys. But then I got 68 and 69 Camaros. I got Chevy 2 Novas. And I got a 71 Nova, which is a different body style. It's a little bit bigger body style. Then I went to the Impalas. I went to a convertible Impala, like a 65 Impala. And then I have a 60. I always wanted my birth year car. A 1960 Impala was the year I was born. So I bought my birth year car. And so I've got a 1955 pickup truck. I've got a 67 Chevelle. I just sold a 68 Chevelle. I like to get cars. I like to mess with them, and then I flip them. I'll sell them, move on to another project. I've kept a few around, the ones that mean a little something to me. Like I bought this 57 Chevy. It looks like a 6-cylinder granny car. It's got the original paint on it. It's a 32,000 mile car, and it's rough. It's got a lot of patina on it. So what we did, we pulled the body off of it, had frame powder coated, I had the red oxide primer on the bottom of the car. The rear end is painted. It's got a LSA supercharged engine. So it makes about 600 horsepower, and it's a sleeper. I call it a sleeper car. Where then I mounted the body back onto the frame, and I put 4-wheel disc brakes on it, and I concealed all the big disc brake package with steel wheels and everything you can't see. So it looks like an old granny car, and it's hilarious. This car is very fast, and I'll have kids pull up beside me in new Mustangs and all, and then they'll take off, and I'll just roll right by them. And they'll look at that old car and they're like, "What was that?" And, so I've got some pretty cars too, some real shiny ones, and your show cars. I call them trailer queens, to where you really don't want to get them out. You don't want nobody to touch the paint. And then I got the cars I drive, on a daily basis, and I just like getting out in a different car. Sandy and I, that's one thing we've been doing during this COVID crisis, is we'll get a different one out. I've got about 18 old cars. We'll get a different one out every night, and we'll make about a 40 or 50 mile trip just out in the country, looking at all, the housing and what's going on and different people. And we're just cruising around, and enjoying our time together. All right, this is my race car. This is a 1967. Let me see if I can get my trucks in the way. All right. Can you see that with the parachute?
Oh, yeah.
And the wheelie bars?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go to the front of it. This has got a 632 cubic inch motor. It makes 1,130 horsepower. I've been working on it. I was getting it ready for the track. I don't know if you can see the inside of it very good. Hard for me to tell.
That's good.
How it's looking. But anyway, this is a car. It runs 480s in the eighth of a mile at about 100 and 48, 50, 45, somewhere around there. In the eighth of a mile, quarter of a mile, it'll go around 770s at 170.
That's beautiful.
Right in there. All right, here's a little 67 Nova. Another one. The red car, my race cars, it's an all fiberglass body. It was a Tim McCamus fiberglass body, but this is a 25,000 mile all original 67 Nova. This car is all original, which is, you can't find cars in this kind of shape in 1967. It's got a little white top. It's a 283 car. All numbers matching. This is the original. That's the original interior, nothing's ever been painted or touched on this. I mean, it's just incredible what kind of shape this car is in. And then here's my 66 Impala convertible. All my cars are stuffed in here so close. I wish I had a better camera to show you better. Everything on this car was restored. Body was off the frame. All the aluminum, all the bumpers were chrome, anodized everything. Got some nice, pretty blingy wheels on it. But, this is a convertible car. I love this top down, just out cruising.
No, those are beautiful.
Yeah. Then here's my birth year car, 1960 Impala. This car has 30-something thousand actual miles, a little 6-cylinder car. But this was probably the cheaper version of this car. This was the Batman days. You remember the big wings and the fins on these old cars?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see the big fins on it and everything. I love this thing. I've been out a lot in this old car.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. That's good looking. Look at those wings, man.
Yeah, man. That's what makes them. And then here's the 57 I was telling you about. That's a sleeper car. It looks like an old granny car, old 6-cylinder. That's the original paint on this car. It's all patinaed out now. It's not slick at all. Put the steel wheels on it to hide all the disc brakes and everything. The interior is the original interior. So it looks like an old, it was a 3-speed on the column. And I took 3-speed out of it and put an automatic in it. It's got a 4L80 in it now with this LS motor. I'll pop the hood for you.
All right.
Hang on a second. Everything looks sold, but then when you pop the hood, you get the LS motor. And you got everything under the hood been painted and detailed.
That's beautiful.
Fast. Yeah, it's fast. Hang on. This was my first car I ever did. This is another 67 nose. I love it. It's got big tires under it. You can see the tires. That's got a 15-inch wheel under it. Oh, that might be a 12-inch wheel. But inside of it, we did the dash.
Well, you can see the differences then. Look how big the steering wheels were back then too.
Yeah, those wood wheels and all. I love an old walnut wheel and everything.
Beautiful.
Here's a 68 Camaro I built my son. Built it when he's 16 years old. He's 34 now, and it's still in my garage. If I had a 68 Camaro like this, there ain't no way I'd leave it at my dad's house.
Me neither. Oh, no way.
Yeah, this car is beautiful. Yeah, small block in it, runs incredible fast.
Well, they're beautiful cars, and I know that I look at them as sort of works of art too. And I don't know if you see them that way. The beauty of those
No
cars,
doubt.
particularly those 50s cars and early 60s.
Yeah. The 57 Chevy, to me, I love it. With all the chroming on the bumpers. I mean, you look at that car, and everything's handmade. Everything's metal. It's not plastic like on all the new stuff nowadays. And the time they took to build those cars to prepare and design them, they're definitely a work of art. You're looking at the dash and the instrument cluster where, your tach and your speedometer and everything is truly beautiful in my opinion. And I like all the original interior, the way they used to, the color combinations they had back in the 60s and early 70s. So to me, it is when you're in one of those cars, it has sensory overload when you're out driving them. How you feel more of the road. They kind of sway with the curves and all. Where the new cars, they're a lot stiffer and they drive nice. Where these old cars, they don't drive as good, but yet it's a pleasure to get in them and just cruise around.
Well, Kenny, have any of the local men in blue there ever had to have a chat with you while you were on the road there, just regarding how fast you're going in some of these muscle cars?
2 or 3 times, yes. I was. I'll never forget the time I was in a car and it was about dusk, and I pulled up at a stoplight, and that thing went green, and I went barreling out there. I was flying, and I probably went over 100 miles an hour. Next thing I know, I see blue lights in my rearview mirror. And I'm like, was that a cop behind me? And he pulled up to me, pulled me over, and he says, "Let me see your license." So he took my license and everything. As soon as he grabbed them, he chucked them and hit me right in the chest. And he said, "If you ever do that in front of me again, I'm taking you to jail." I said, "You should take me to jail." I said, "That I was definitely speeding there." And he got to laughing, and I said, "Thank you," and he let me go. And and I've actually had him pull up beside me when I was out in some of my Pro Street cars. I've got a couple cars I run at the drag strip, but I still have license plates on them where I drive them. They make close to 1,000 horsepower, and they're big. They got 16-inch wheels on the back of them. They're big tires, and they got slicks on them. And I'll be cruising around. I've had them pull up beside me, and they asked me to do a burnout right there in the road. So that was lucky. I enjoy doing that. So,
well, Kenny,
but they be good to me. I don't get too crazy anymore. As older I got, the slower I get. I tell people I went from wanting to go with my hair, Mach 2 and my hair on fire, to now I want to be like driving Miss Daisy. I want to be in a convertible, just cruising around, taking it easy. So.
Well, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if you're keeping it 35 all the time right now. But you don't need to be doing that. Anyway, Kenny, thank you so much for your time and your hospitality. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you back out there in tournament play. So best of
You've
you.
got it, Ben. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.